Listen, something is shifting right now in your connection with someone who has been holding back. And I don't just mean they're thinking about you more, I mean they are actively dismantling the walls, closing the gap, moving toward you with an intention they've never had before. The distance that's been between you, whether it's physical miles, emotional guards, or the space created by fear and uncertainty, is becoming unbearable to them. And what I need you to understand from the very beginning of this conversation is that when someone can no longer tolerate the distance, when they reach that breaking point where separation hurts more than vulnerability, you're about to witness a version of love you haven't seen from them yet. This isn't about small gestures anymore. This isn't about breadcrumbs or mixed signals or maybe someday. This is about someone who is done with half measures. They're done pretending they're okay with the space between you. They're done protecting themselves at the cost of losing you. And what's coming, the way they're about to show up, the way they're about to demonstrate what you mean to them, it's going to feel different than anything that's come before. If you're here, you've probably felt the distance. You've probably wondered if this person would ever truly let you in. You've probably had moments where you questioned whether the love is real or if you're holding on to something that exists more in potential than in reality. You've probably felt the ache of knowing someone cares but watching them stay just out of reach. I want you to understand something crucial: their distance was never about your worth. It was about their capacity in that moment. It was about what they were ready to risk. And something has fundamentally changed. They've reached a point where the risk of losing you outweighs every fear they've been carrying. The comfort of emotional safety no longer feels comfortable, it feels suffocating. The distance they thought was protecting them is now the very thing causing them pain. And when someone crosses that threshold, when they move from "I care but I'm scared" to "I care too much to stay away," everything transforms. If this is resonating with your spirit right now, just drop a heart emoji in the comments. Let me know I'm speaking to your situation. What I'm about to walk you through in this conversation is not theory. This is not about what might happen or what you hope will happen. This is about reading the actual signs of someone who has made an internal decision to bridge the gap. I'm going to show you what it looks like when someone stops managing the distance and starts eliminating it. I'm going to help you recognize the specific shifts, in their energy, their actions, their way of relating to you, that indicate they're moving closer with purpose and intention. And here's what I want you to prepare for: this is going to require something from you too. When someone shows up differently, when they extend themselves in ways they haven't before, your response matters. The walls you've built because of the distance, those are understandable, they protected you, but you're going to need to recognize when it's safe to soften. You're going to need to discern between your legitimate boundaries and the defenses that served you during the waiting but will block you from receiving what's coming. Before we go deeper, I want to honor everyone who has supported this channel. Your super thanks, your kind messages, your presence here, it's what allows me to create these deep, intentional conversations. If this message is already touching something in your soul, and you feel led to support what we're building here, the super thanks option is right below this video. Your generosity keeps this ministry alive and growing. Now, stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal about what they're experiencing internally, the actual transformation happening in their heart and mind, is going to give you so much clarity. We're not just skimming the surface. We're going to explore every dimension of what's unfolding, and by the end of this conversation, you're going to know exactly what's happening and how to navigate what comes next. This is where everything changes. Let's dive in. So let's talk about what's actually happening with this person right now, because the internal shift they're experiencing is profound. They've been living with a tension that's been building for weeks, maybe months. On one side, there's everything they feel for you, the pull, the connection, the recognition that what you share isn't ordinary. On the other side, there's been every reason they've used to maintain distance: past hurt, timing concerns, fear of vulnerability, uncertainty about themselves or their life circumstances. For a while, they've been able to hold that tension. They've been able to care about you while keeping you at arm's length. They've been able to text you occasionally, show interest in measured doses, stay connected enough to not lose you but distant enough to feel safe. But here's what's shifted: that middle ground has collapsed. It's no longer sustainable. The emotional cost of the distance has exceeded whatever safety it was providing. Think about what happens when you're standing in a doorway, 1 foot in a room and 1 foot out, trying to exist in both spaces at once. You can hold that position for a moment, maybe even a few minutes if you're stubborn enough, but eventually your body demands you make a choice. You're either in or you're out. The in-between becomes physically uncomfortable. That's where they are emotionally. The in-between space they've been occupying with you, caring but not committing, present but not fully available, interested but protected, has become untenable. And what happens in moments like these is fascinating. When someone reaches the limit of their capacity for distance, something primal takes over. It's not a calculated decision anymore. It's not them weighing pros and cons in their mind. It becomes a need. The way your body eventually gasps for air when you've been holding your breath, it's involuntary, urgent, non-negotiable. That's the energy behind their movement toward you right now. You might be wondering what triggered this shift. Here's the truth, it's usually not one thing. It's the accumulation of every moment they've wanted to reach for you and held back. It's every conversation where they felt the connection deepen and then forced themselves to pull away. It's every time someone else tried to occupy the space you hold in their life and they felt the wrongness of it. It's the growing awareness that the someday they've been telling themselves about, someday when they're more ready, more healed, more certain, is actually just a story they've been using to avoid risk. Something broke through that story. Maybe they had a moment of stark clarity where they saw their pattern of self-protection for what it really is, not wisdom, but fear wearing wisdom's clothing. Maybe they got scared in a new way, not scared of getting hurt, but scared of looking back with regret. Maybe they watched you start to pull back, to protect your own heart, and felt the panic of potential loss. Maybe they simply woke up one day and the distance didn't feel safe anymore, it felt lonely. Whatever the specific catalyst, they've crossed an internal threshold. And when someone crosses that line, you start seeing it everywhere in how they move through their day. They're thinking about you differently now. Before, you were someone they cared about but compartmentalized. They could think about you, smile, and then turn their attention elsewhere. Now, thoughts of you interrupt everything. They're in the middle of work and suddenly they're composing messages to you in their mind. They're with other people and finding themselves wanting to share the experience with you. They're making decisions, small ones, big ones, and considering how those decisions affect the possibility of more with you. Type closer in the comments if you're feeling this shift, if you're sensing something changing in their energy toward you. The distance used to give them space to think clearly. Now it just makes everything clouded with longing. They've tried to talk themselves down from what they're feeling. They've tried to be reasonable, to remind themselves of all the logical reasons to go slow or stay cautious. But emotions don't negotiate. The heart doesn't accept good reasons when it's decided what it wants. And their heart has decided. What you need to understand is that this isn't impulsive. This might look sudden from the outside, but inside them, this has been building like pressure in a closed system. Every time they've resisted reaching out, every time they've kept things surface level when they wanted to go deep, every time they've said, "I'm fine with how things are," while feeling the opposite, all of that has been accumulating. And pressure like that doesn't dissipate. It either gets released intentionally or it eventually demands release. They're choosing release. They're choosing to let you see what they've been holding back. And that choice is terrifying for them and exhilarating and inevitable all at once. Here's what's happening in their body when they think about you now: their chest tightens with a mix of nervousness and anticipation. Their stomach flips when your name appears on their phone. They catch themselves rehearsing what they want to say to you, how they want to express what's shifted. They're experiencing you as both comfort and risk. Comfort because connecting with you feels like home, risk because showing you the depth of what they feel means true vulnerability. In quiet moments, late at night when distractions fall away, or in the morning before the day's demands take over, they're having full conversations with you in their mind. They're imagining what it would be like to stop holding back. They're picturing your face when they tell you what you mean to them. They're playing out scenarios of closeness, of presence, of finally letting the relationship be what it's been trying to become. And there's something else happening that's crucial for you to recognize: they're making internal preparations. They're not just feeling differently, they're reorganizing their life around the decision to close the distance. They're clearing space. They're addressing things that have been obstacles. They're getting themselves ready to show up in a bigger way. This might look like them finally having hard conversations they've been avoiding. It might look like them setting boundaries with people or situations that have been consuming energy they want to direct toward you. It might look like them doing internal work, processing their past, examining their fears, getting honest with themselves about what they really want. They're in preparation mode, even if they haven't announced it yet. You haven't imagined this shift. You're not reading too much into small signs. What you're sensing is real. Someone has reached their limit with distance, and what comes next is the demonstration. They're about to show you, in tangible and unmistakable ways, that the love they've been rationing is ready to be poured out. Stay with me. We're building to something crucial. The next layer is going to help you understand not just what they're feeling, but what it means for what comes next. Now let's go underneath the surface of what they're experiencing, because what's happening has layers that tell you everything about where this is heading. When someone can't tolerate the distance anymore, it's not just about wanting to be closer, it's about a fundamental reorganization of their priorities, their sense of self, and their vision of the future. First, let's talk about the identity shift that's occurring within them. See, the version of themselves that has been maintaining distance, that person was built on a certain set of beliefs. Beliefs about safety, about what they could handle, about what they deserved or were ready for, about how to protect themselves from disappointment or pain. That identity served a purpose. It kept them functional after past wounds. It helped them navigate uncertainty. But that identity is no longer aligned with what their soul is demanding. There's a new version of them emerging, and this version is braver. This version recognizes that protection has costs. This version understands that you don't heal by avoiding risk, you heal by taking the right risks with the right people. This version is willing to be uncomfortable in service of something real. And the tension between who they've been and who they're becoming is creating the momentum that's propelling them toward you. They're shedding skin, metaphorically speaking. Old patterns of relating, old defense mechanisms, old stories about why they should hold back, all of it is being questioned and dismantled. This isn't always a graceful process. They might seem a bit scattered or inconsistent during this transition. They might reach out strongly and then pull back slightly, not because they're playing games, but because they're navigating the gap between their old operating system and the new one that's coming online. What they're realizing, and this is the heart of it, is that the distance has been costing them the very thing they've been trying to protect. They thought space would keep them safe, but it's been keeping them empty. They thought caution would prevent pain, but the pain of separation has been worse than any risk of deeper involvement. They're seeing clearly, perhaps for the first time, that you can't experience love's fullness from behind walls. You can't know connection's depth while maintaining escape routes. You can't receive what someone offers while keeping them at arm's length. This realization is landing in their body as much as their mind. They're feeling the physical discomfort of separation. When they're going about their day and something funny or beautiful or challenging happens, the instinct to share it with you is immediate and strong. When they accomplish something, you're the first person they want to tell. When they're struggling, your voice is the one that would bring comfort. These aren't just thoughts, these are physical urges, bodily needs, soul-level pulls. If you've noticed them becoming more present, more consistent, more openly affectionate, just type, "I see it, so I know this is landing." And here's where it gets really interesting, they're starting to envision a future that includes you in ways they've been resisting. Before, maybe they thought about you but kept it contained to now, or maybe. They didn't let themselves imagine months or years down the road with you in the picture. That felt too vulnerable, too much like tempting fate or setting themselves up for disappointment. But something has unlocked that protective mechanism. Now, they're letting themselves imagine what it would be like to talk to you every day without reservation. What it would be like to make plans together without hedging or keeping things tentative. What it would be like to introduce you into all the areas of their life they've been keeping separate. What it would be like to stop editing their feelings and just let you see the full truth of what you mean to them. This future visioning is powerful because it's shifting their entire orientation. When you start imagining a future with someone, you naturally begin aligning your present choices with that vision. They're making different decisions now, about how they spend their time, who they invest energy in, what they prioritize, because those decisions are being filtered through this new lens of wanting to build something real with you. The spiritual dimension of what's happening cannot be ignored, because whether they would describe it this way or not, there's a sense that something larger than their personal preference is at work. Timing is shifting. What was closed is opening. What felt complicated is clarifying. There's a sense of rightness to this movement, even though it's scary. It's like the universe, or God, or fate, or whatever language resonates, has been waiting for them to get to this point of readiness, and now that they're here, everything is conspiring to bring you together in a deeper way. They're experiencing synchronicities. Your name comes up in unexpected contexts. They hear songs that remind them of you. They encounter reminders of conversations you've had. It's as if the external world is reflecting and reinforcing this internal shift. And these synchronicities are confirming for them that this movement toward you isn't just their idea, it's supported by something bigger. Now, let's talk about what they're experiencing in terms of emotional availability. The distance they've maintained has required a certain emotional numbness. You can't hold someone at arm's length without also dampening what you feel for them. You can't stay half-committed without suppressing the full truth of your care. So they've been operating at a reduced emotional capacity when it comes to you, not because they don't feel deeply, but because they couldn't afford to feel everything and still maintain their boundaries. But that suppression is lifting. The dam is breaking. What they're feeling now is the full force of everything they've been holding back, the tenderness, the desire, the care, the hope, the fear of loss, all of it. And it's overwhelming in the best and most terrifying way. They're feeling almost adolescent in the intensity of it, like they're experiencing first love even if this isn't their first relationship. Everything feels heightened. Everything feels urgent. Everything feels like it matters more than anything has mattered in a long time. This emotional flooding is part of why they need to show you. Words feel inadequate. Casual interactions feel like they're not capturing the truth. They need you to feel what they feel, to understand the depth of it, to know that this isn't just affection or attraction, this is something that's reorganizing their whole internal landscape. Let me be specific about what you might notice as this unfolds. Their communication is changing. Messages that used to be brief and surface level are becoming longer, more revealing, more vulnerable. They're sharing things they haven't shared before, fears, dreams, parts of their history, aspects of their inner world. They're asking deeper questions about you. They're not just checking in, they're trying to know you more fully. Their presence is different. If you're in physical proximity, you'll notice they're finding reasons to be closer. The space they used to maintain is shrinking. Eye contact lingers. Touches, if they happen, carry more weight. There's an energy of wanting to be near you that's palpable. If you're at a distance geographically, you'll notice increased effort to bridge that gap, more video calls, more voice messages, conversations about when you'll see each other next, maybe even concrete plans being made where before things were vague. Their investment is obvious. They're showing up more reliably. They're making time when before they were too busy. They're prioritizing conversations with you. They're remembering details about your life and following up on things you've mentioned. They're demonstrating through consistent action that you matter, that connecting with you is important, that they're done with sporadic or half-hearted engagement. And perhaps most tellingly, they're becoming transparent about their feelings in ways they weren't before. They might not lay it all out in one grand declaration, though they might, but the mask is slipping. The carefully maintained cool is melting. They're letting you see that you affect them, that they care what you think, that your opinion matters, that the connection is significant to them. For anyone watching who has been praying for this shift, who has been hoping for this person to step forward, just type, grateful, because that energy of gratitude opens the door wider for what's coming. There's also this, they're becoming protective of the connection in a new way. Before, they might have been casual about boundaries with others, letting people take up space that should have been reserved for deepening things with you. Now they're more guarded about who gets their time and energy. They're creating space for what's possible with you by clearing out what's not essential. They're recognizing that building something real requires focus and intention. If there have been other people in the picture, distractions, options, complicated situations, you're going to see those falling away. Not because you demanded it, but because they're making choices aligned with what they actually want. The clutter is being cleared. The focus is sharpening. You're becoming central in a way that's reflected in how they organize their life. This is the transformation point. This is where someone stops being led by fear and starts being led by what their heart is screaming for. This is where the pain of distance becomes greater than the fear of closeness. This is where they choose you, not in words only, but in the complete reorientation of how they show up. And what I need you to understand is that this isn't happening to you, this is happening for both of you. Their readiness serves your connection. Their courage opens doors. Their willingness to close the distance creates the space for love to actually flourish instead of just exist as potential. We're not done. There's more beneath this that you need to understand. Stay right here with me, the next part is about recognizing what this means for you and how to meet this moment with wisdom. Here's the piece that's going to shift everything for you. When someone can't stand the distance anymore and starts moving toward you with intention, it's not just about what they're doing, it's about what this reveals about the nature of real love and what you've been called to receive. Real love cannot stay theoretical forever. It can't exist permanently in the realm of potential and possibility. Eventually, authentic love demands expression. It demands embodiment. It demands risk. What you're witnessing is love transitioning from concept to reality, from feeling to demonstration, from private experience to shared truth. And this transition is sacred because it's the moment when love stops being safe and becomes real. Let me tell you what's actually happening on a soul level. There are connections that exist in the spiritual realm before they fully manifest in the physical. You felt this with this person, this sense that something significant is there, something meant, something that goes beyond surface compatibility. But spiritual connection has to become earthly connection to fulfill its purpose. It has to move from the realm of energy and feeling into the realm of action and presence. What they're experiencing, this inability to maintain distance, is their soul demanding alignment. Their spirit has already been close to yours. Energetically, you've already been connected. But their human self, with all its fears and defenses and conditioning, has been keeping their physical and emotional expression out of sync with the spiritual reality. The discomfort they're feeling now is the discomfort of that misalignment. Their soul is saying, enough. It's pulling their whole being into agreement with what's true. This is why it feels inevitable to them. This is why they can't keep resisting. When your spirit decides something, your human self can only fight it for so long. Eventually, the truth of what your soul knows becomes too powerful to deny. They're surrendering to what's been true all along, that you matter, that this connection is significant, that they want to build something real with you. And here's what this means for you, you're not convincing them of your worth. You're not persuading them to choose you. You're not earning their love through perfect behavior or strategic moves. What's happening is that they're finally coming into alignment with what they've known in their depths. Your worth isn't being established, it's being acknowledged. Your value isn't being created, it's being recognized. This distinction is crucial because it determines how you receive what's coming. If you think you've finally done something right to make them want you, you'll approach this from insecurity, always worried you might do something wrong that pushes them away again. But if you understand that they're simply aligning with truth, with what's been real about your value all along, you can receive their love from a place of groundedness. You are not a consolation prize. You are not someone they're settling for after exhausting other options. You are not a backup plan finally getting attention. You are the person they've been circling back to in their mind through every distraction, every doubt, every attempt to talk themselves into something easier or safer. You are the one their soul recognizes, even when their fears were running the show. The demonstration that's coming, the way they're about to show you this love, it's going to be convincing. It's going to be clear. It's going to leave no room for doubt about whether they're serious or whether this is just another phase. But you need to be ready to receive it without shrinking, without skepticism so thick it blocks the blessing, without the walls that were necessary during the distance but will prevent connection now. If you're feeling a mix of hope and nervousness about receiving this, about trusting this shift, just leave a heart emoji. I want you to know you're not alone in that complexity. Let's talk about the spiritual principle of reciprocity that's at work here. When someone steps forward, something in you has to be willing to step forward too. When someone extends vulnerability, you're being invited to meet it with your own vulnerability. When someone offers presence, you're being asked to offer presence in return. This isn't about game playing or withholding to maintain power. This is about genuine meeting, genuine mutuality, genuine reciprocity. You've been in a position where you couldn't fully offer yourself because they weren't available to receive it. You've been protecting your heart because the distance made that necessary. You've been tempering your expectations because you couldn't count on their consistency. All of that was wisdom in that season. But seasons change. What was wisdom yesterday might be self-protection that blocks your blessing today. The courage they're showing in moving toward you needs to be met with your own courage to let them in. The vulnerability they're demonstrating needs to be honored with your own willingness to be seen. The love they're offering needs space in your heart to land. And that might mean releasing some of the hurt you've accumulated during the waiting. It might mean forgiving them for the distance, understanding it was about their process, not your inadequacy. This doesn't mean being naive. This doesn't mean ignoring patterns or pretending past behavior doesn't matter. It means being discerning about the difference between someone who has changed and someone who's simply saying the right things for the moment. The shift I'm describing is substantive. It's showing up in consistent action over time. It's demonstrable in how they're reorganizing their life and priorities. You'll know it's real not because they say it once, but because they show it repeatedly. What you're being prepared for is a new level of intimacy. Not just physical intimacy, though that may be part of it, but emotional, spiritual, mental intimacy. The kind where you're fully seen and fully see them. The kind where pretense falls away. The kind where you get to be completely yourself and watch them be completely themselves and discover that what you build from that authentic place is stronger than anything constructed from personas and performances. This level of intimacy requires trust, and trust requires risk. You're going to have to risk believing them. Risk lowering your defenses. Risk showing them the parts of you that the distance allowed you to keep private. Risk letting them matter enough that their choices affect you. Risk building something that would hurt to lose. There's no way to receive deep love without accepting that vulnerability. But here's the beautiful part, you don't have to risk blindly. You get to watch how they handle what you offer. You get to notice if they honor your vulnerability or exploit it. You get to see if they're consistent or sporadic in their follow-through. You get to observe whether their actions match their words over time. Real love proves itself through demonstrated care, not just declared intentions. What's being offered to you is the opportunity to experience a love that's fully present. Not distracted, not divided, not half-committed. A love that's chosen you with clarity and is showing up to build something real. This is what you've been hoping for during all those moments when you felt the potential but couldn't touch the reality. This is what your heart knew was possible even when circumstances suggested otherwise. And there's timing at work here that's not coincidental. You're not receiving this possibility in the same state you were in when the distance first opened up. You've grown. You've done your own inner work. You've learned things about yourself, about what you want, about what you will and won't accept. You've developed strength through the waiting. You're not the same person who would have received this earlier version of their readiness with desperate gratitude, willing to accept scraps. You're receiving this opportunity from a more empowered place. From a place where you know your worth isn't dependent on their recognition of it. From a place where you can be excited about the connection without losing yourself in it. From a place where you can build something together without making them your entire world. The timing of their readiness and your readiness is aligning in ways that serve the highest good of the connection. Before we move into the practical wisdom about how to navigate this, I want to pause and acknowledge everyone who has been faithfully supporting this channel. Your super thanks, your kind comments, your sharing of these messages, it's what makes this possible. If this conversation has been meaningful to you, if it's giving you clarity and hope, and you feel moved to support this work, the super thanks button is right there. Your generosity is a blessing. For those who have been waiting for this person to be ready, who have been patient through their process, type, worth the wait, if this is feeling like the breakthrough you've been praying for. What I'm about to share in the next section is going to help you navigate this with grace, with wisdom, with your heart open but your discernment intact. Because receiving someone who's ready to truly show up is both beautiful and complex, and you deserve guidance for walking this path well. Stay with me. This next part is crucial. Now we need to talk about the practical wisdom of how you move through this season, because knowing what's happening is one thing, navigating it with grace and wisdom is another. When someone is closing the distance and preparing to show you love in bigger ways, your response sets the tone for what's being built. First principle, let your actions speak before your declarations. There's going to be a temptation to rush toward certainty. You're going to want to define things, lock things down, get verbal confirmation of where this is going. That's understandable, the distance has created insecurity, and security feels like the antidote. But here's what I need you to understand, real security comes from consistent behavior over time, not from words spoken in a moment of intensity. Watch what they do. Let their actions tell you the story. Are they showing up reliably? Are they making space for you in their actual life, not just in their messages? Are they introducing effort, consistency, presence, protection of the connection? Are they demonstrating care through tangible expressions? These are the measurements that matter. These are what tell you if the shift is real or if it's a temporary burst of feeling that will fade when the intensity settles. Give it time to prove itself. This doesn't mean being cold or distant or playing games. It means staying present while also staying observant. It means engaging genuinely while also noticing patterns. It means opening your heart incrementally as trust is built through demonstrated reliability. You can be warm and engaged without being fully unguarded until the foundation is solid. Second principle, match their energy, but don't exceed it. This is about reciprocity and balance. When they reach out, reach back. When they offer vulnerability in return. When they create space for deeper conversation, enter that space. But don't start doing all the heavy lifting. Don't suddenly become the one pursuing when they've been the one maintaining distance. Don't overcompensate for lost time by trying to accelerate intimacy faster than it can organically develop. Real connection builds through mutual investment. If you're always the one initiating, always the one being more vulnerable, always the one making more effort, you're not building partnership, you're building imbalance. Let there be a rhythm of give and take. Let there be reciprocal pursuit. Let them show you consistently that they're willing to do the work of building this, not just receive your efforts to build it toward them. This doesn't mean keeping score or being strategic in withholding ways. It means staying attuned to balance. It means noticing if you're the only one leaning in. It means protecting yourself from recreating old patterns where you do all the emotional labor and they receive all the benefit. Third principle, communicate your experience without demands. As they move closer, you're going to have feelings about the distance that was there. You're going to have reactions to the ways their previous unavailability affected you. You're going to have needs about how you want to be treated moving forward. All of this deserves voice. You don't have to pretend the past didn't happen in order to welcome the present. But there's a way to share your experience that invites understanding rather than triggering defensiveness. Instead of, you hurt me by being distant and you need to make it up to me, try, I'm excited about us getting closer, and I also want you to know that the distance was hard for me. I need reassurance through consistent action that this shift is sustainable. You're being honest about your experience while also focusing on what you need moving forward. This is about expressing yourself without making them responsible for fixing your feelings. It's about sharing your truth without weaponizing it. It's about creating space for honest dialogue about what you've both experienced and what you both need. Healthy relationships can hold complexity. They can acknowledge that someone wasn't ready before and is ready now, and both things can be true without canceling each other out. Fourth principle, keep your own life full and vibrant. One of the biggest mistakes people make when someone finally becomes available is collapsing their entire world around that person. Suddenly every evening is cleared for them. Every plan is flexible pending their schedule. Every thought is consumed with where things are going. This is understandable, but it's also dangerous. You've built a life during the distance. You have friends, interests, routines, sources of joy that don't depend on this person. Keep those. Maintain those. Protect those. You're not more lovable by being more available. You're not more attractive by being more accommodating. You're actually most magnetic when you have a full, rich life that you're inviting someone to complement, not complete. This serves multiple purposes. It keeps you grounded in yourself instead of losing yourself in the relationship. It prevents you from being so focused on them that you miss red flags or concerning patterns. It maintains your independence and sense of self, which is essential for healthy partnership. Fifth principle, trust yourself to know the difference between fear and discernment. You're going to experience doubt. That's inevitable when someone who has been inconsistent starts being consistent. Your self-protection mechanisms are going to whisper, "Don't trust this," even when everything looks right. The question is that wisdom speaking or is that trauma speaking? Discernment says, "I see positive patterns forming and I'm going to continue observing to ensure they're sustainable." Fear says, "This is definitely going to fall apart, so I should protect myself by not fully engaging." Discernment keeps you present while aware. Fear keeps you absent even when you're physically there. Learn to distinguish between the two. Check in with yourself. Is your hesitation based on something happening now, or is it based on old wounds? Are you responding to actual red flags in their current behavior, or are you projecting past hurts onto present circumstances? Both discernment and fear can feel like intuition, but they lead to very different places. If your gut is saying, "Something's off," and you can point to specific behaviors that don't align with their words, listen to that. If your gut is saying, "This feels too good to be true," but their behavior is actually consistent and honoring, challenge that. You don't have to choose between being wise and being open. You can be both. Sixth principle, allow yourself to hope. This might sound simple, but it's actually one of the hardest things. Hope makes you vulnerable. Hope means you could be disappointed. Hope requires you to admit you want something you might not get. But hope is also what allows you to fully show up for possibility. Hope is what creates the energetic opening for good things to land. Hope is what prevents you from sabotaging something real because you're too defended to receive it. You're allowed to be excited. You're allowed to envision what could be. You're allowed to feel joy about this shift. You don't have to temper every positive feeling with, "But what if," catastrophizing. You can hold both / and hope about what's possible and awareness that outcomes aren't guaranteed. You can be engaged while also knowing you'll be okay regardless of how this unfolds. Protect your hope from cynical voices, whether those voices are in your own head or coming from well-meaning friends who are projecting their own fears onto your situation. Not everyone will understand what's happening between you and this person. Not everyone will see what you see. And that's okay. You don't need consensus to recognize what's real. Trust your own discernment. Trust what you're experiencing directly. Trust that you're capable of navigating this with wisdom. Seventh principle, prepare for deeper intimacy. If they're truly moving closer, if this is the real shift it appears to be, you're about to enter new territory in this relationship. Deeper intimacy requires deeper honesty. It requires showing parts of yourself you've kept protected. It requires letting them see your flaws, your fears, your less polished moments. It requires building trust not just through good times but through navigating challenges together. This means being willing to have hard conversations when they're needed. It means expressing needs even when it feels vulnerable. It means setting boundaries even when it might create friction. It means being a full, complex human rather than a curated version of yourself designed to keep their interest. Real love can only be built on real knowing, and real knowing requires real revelation. You're going to learn things about them too, not just their best self, but their whole self. You're going to see how they handle stress, conflict, disappointment. You're going to see their patterns, their triggers, their areas of growth. And you're going to have to decide if you can love the full person, not just the version they present when everything's easy. This is where relationships either deepen into genuine partnership or reveal themselves to be based on fantasy and projection. Let it be the former. Do the work of actually knowing and being known. It's vulnerable, but it's the only path to real intimacy. If you're ready to receive this love, to meet it with your own courage and vulnerability, type "I'm ready" in the comments. What I'm describing isn't a formula that guarantees a specific outcome. I'm giving you principles for navigating this season with integrity, wisdom, and an open heart. How things unfold depends on both of you showing up authentically and consistently. It depends on both of you being willing to do the work of building something real. It depends on compatibility not just in attraction but in values, communication, emotional maturity, and vision for the future. But if this person is truly ready, if they're truly stepping forward with intention and consistency, if they're truly demonstrating through action that they're done with distance and ready for depth, then what you're building together has a real chance. Not a guaranteed outcome, but a real chance. And that's worth showing up for with your whole heart. Let's bring this home. The final piece is about integrating everything we've explored and stepping forward with clarity and confidence. So here's where we land. After everything we've walked through together, someone in your life is experiencing a fundamental shift in their relationship to distance, and that shift is propelling them toward you with an intention you haven't witnessed before. This isn't speculation. This isn't wishful thinking. This is reading the signs of someone who has crossed an internal threshold and is now moving into action. What I want to leave you with is this truth: you are not passively waiting to see if you'll be chosen. You've already been chosen. What's happening now is someone aligning their actions with a choice their heart made long ago. The distance was never about your insufficiency. It was about their readiness. And readiness doesn't follow your timeline or mine, it follows the internal journey of the person moving through it. Their readiness now is a gift, but it's not a gift that requires your grateful, unquestioning acceptance. You get to be discerning. You get to observe how this unfolds. You get to notice if behavior matches words consistently over time. You get to protect your own heart while also remaining open to connection. These aren't contradictory postures, they're both essential. The love that's coming toward you, the demonstration they're preparing, the ways they're going to show you what you mean to them, this is going to be different than what you've experienced before from this person. It's going to be more present, more consistent, more vulnerable, more intentional. It's going to feel like someone who has decided rather than someone who is still deciding. And that shift in their energy will be palpable. But let me tell you what's most important: your response to this needs to come from your worth, not from your wounds. If you meet their movement toward you from a place of, "Finally, I've been waiting and hoping and this proves I matter," you're building on shaky ground. If you meet their movement toward you from a place of, "I see you showing up differently, and I'm here for it while also maintaining my sense of self," you're building on solid ground. Your worth was never in question. Not to the universe, not to anyone who matters, and not, ultimately, to this person. They've been on a journey to recognize and align with what was always true. Don't interpret their previous distance as evidence that you had to prove yourself. Interpret their current movement as evidence that they've grown into the capacity to receive what you've been offering. This moment is about two people who are ready, meeting each other in that readiness. It's not about you finally being enough or them finally being convinced. It's about both of you being in a place where you can build something real together. And that requires readiness on both sides, their readiness to show up and your readiness to receive without losing yourself. I believe in the possibility of what's unfolding for you. I believe in love that transforms, in timing that aligns, in people who grow into their capacity for real connection. I believe that what you've been feeling, that this person matters, that this connection is significant, that there's something here worth nurturing, I believe that's not been misplaced. I believe you're about to see evidence that confirms what your heart has known. If this entire message has spoken to your exact situation, if you feel seen and understood and encouraged, leave one more heart emoji. Let me know this landed for you. But I also believe in your resilience and your capacity to navigate whatever comes. If this unfolds into the beautiful connection it's showing signs of becoming, you're going to be amazed at what you're able to build together. If it reveals itself to be less than what it appeared, you're going to be okay. You're going to take the lessons, honor the growth, and continue forward. You're not fragile. You're not dependent on this one person for your happiness or wholeness. You're complete as you are, and relationship is meant to enhance your life, not complete it. So move forward with hope but also with groundedness. Move forward with an open heart but also with clear eyes. Move forward with excitement about possibility but also with commitment to your own well-being. Move forward as someone who knows their worth and is willing to be in relationship with someone who recognizes and honors that worth through consistent action. The distance that has been between you is collapsing. The walls are coming down. The love that's been held at a distance is moving toward full expression. This is your moment to receive it with wisdom, grace, and an open heart. This is your moment to show up as the full, authentic, grounded version of yourself and see what can be built from that place. You deserve love that shows up. You deserve love that's present, consistent, intentional, and clear. You deserve love that doesn't make you question or chase or wonder. You deserve love that meets you with the same energy you're bringing. And if this person is truly stepping into readiness, you're about to experience that kind of love. Watch how it unfolds. Stay present to what's being demonstrated. Trust yourself to know what's real. And remember that you're not just receiving love, you're also offering it. You're bringing your own heart, your own depth, your own capacity for connection. This is mutual. This is reciprocal. This is two people building something together. I'm honored to have walked through this with you. I'm honored to speak into this season of your life. I'm honored to help you see clearly what's happening and how to navigate it with wisdom. If this message has served you, if it's given you clarity or hope or encouragement, I invite you to share it with anyone else who might need to hear it. Drop a comment with your thoughts or your testimony. Let's build a community of people who are navigating love with consciousness, wisdom, and open hearts. And if you feel led to support this ministry through super thanks, I receive that with deep gratitude. Your support allows me to keep creating these deep, intentional messages that speak to real situations with spiritual truth and practical wisdom. You're going to be okay. Better than okay. You're about to witness what happens when someone finally aligns with truth, when distance gives way to presence, when fear gives way to courage. Get ready to receive it. Get ready to meet it with your whole heart. Get ready to build something beautiful. This is your time. This is your season. This is your love story unfolding. Walk into it with confidence, with wisdom, and with the knowledge that you are deeply, profoundly worthy of the love that's coming toward you. Be blessed. Be encouraged. Be expectant. And remember, someone can't stand the distance anymore. They're coming closer than ever. To show you this love. Receive it well.